continuing our series on the Bible, the ultimate guidebook. So obviously in a month, we're not going to cover even with 5 weeks in it, we're not going to cover the entire Bible, but it's a pretty big book. But my Lambs of Bible has 1,234 pages in it, so can't squeeze that all in 5 weeks. But we metaphysically are going to take apart the 23rd Psalm today. So, given that we live in a fast food culture, really, with sound bites and all of this technology that's zooming by, I thought it would be really interesting to hear the Bible pared down to 50 words. Anybody interested? Okay, here you go, 50 words, the whole Bible. God lit, Adam bit, Noah arced, Adam split, Joseph ruled, Jacob fooled, Bush talked, Moses balked, Pharaoh plagued, people walked, sea divided, tablets guided, Saul freaked, David peaked, prophets warned, Jesus born, God walked, love talked, fear ruled, anger fueled, Jesus crucified, he rose, world grows, spirit flamed, God remained. That's in 50 words. Wow. So this month, we're somewhere in between covering all of the 1,243 pages in the Bible and that soundbite version. So last week, we looked at probably the most well-loved parable in the Testament, the prodigal son, which was really fun. So this week, we're going to look at the most well-known and often quoted, beloved chapter in the Old Testament, the 23rd Psalm, which could be subtitled, as this morning's talk is, the Song of Renewal. So, and this is taken from, I'm going to read it to you. This is taken from the Lambs of Bible, 23rd Psalm. And you've probably all heard it, usually at funerals, but it's so much more. You're gonna see by the end of this talk, you'll see the richness that is in this story. The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. He make me to rest in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely thy mercy and thy goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the home or the house of the Lord forever. So we've heard that before, yes? Yes. So I have another version of the 23rd Psalm that I found. This is to bring it home in our highly technological world. The Lord is my programmer. I shall not crash. He installed his software on the hard disk of my heart. All of his commands are user-friendly. His directory guides me to the right selection for his name's sake. Even though I scroll through a minefield of options, I will fear no bugs, for he is my backup. His password protects me. He prepares a menu before me in the presence of many hackers. His help is only a keystroke away. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and my file will be merged with his and saved forevermore. Another way. So on that note, okay, didn't even start it yet. All right. On that note, let's look at this extremely powerful song of renewal. That's the title of the talk today. So to set the stage, I want to set the stage for this. And I want us to take a little journey of thought. So you can close your eyes if you want or not. It's not, we're going to end with a meditation, but this isn't, it's kind of just setting the stage. Imagine, if you will, that you are on a pleasant country hillside, relaxing under the shade of a large tree, thousands of years old. It is spring, and below you is a vast green valley where a flock of sheep, your flock of sheep, is grazing placidly in the sun. You are a young shepherd named David. And even though you are relaxing under the shade of this great tree, enjoying the beauty of the blue sky, the white puffy clouds, the fresh air, the colors in the grass, you have taken every precaution to make sure your sheep are protected against danger. Although there is an air of ease around you, if there is even the slightest danger that were to threaten your flock, you would be ready in a flash to defend them with the skill and the know-how. You may be a shepherd, but to the sheep, you are a veritable God. Though you may appear simple to others, you are wise in all things pertaining to them. And they are wise enough to trust you. And they know your voice among many and respond to it without hesitation. And so there you are on this exquisite day, much like today, relaxed and yet alert. You begin thinking about your spiritual beliefs, your beliefs about God. And soon, you begin to see some significant similarities between your relationship to your sheep and God's relationship to you. And you realize how much like a shepherd God is to you. With this thought in mind, the words that later became immortalized as the 23rd Psalm simply flow over you like a song. So let's look at these words. Let's look at the 23rd Psalm and just one interpretation of it, the one that I think is lovely. Actually, Ernest Holmes has a beautiful interpretation of the 23rd Psalm that we went over last week in our practitioner class. And this isn't from Ernest Holmes, but it's all in the same genre. So these words are really all you need, all that needs to be said about abundance. And do we love abundance?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, we love abundance. Abundance in all things. When I am connected, that's what abundance is. When I am connected to the source energy, to the infinite divine spirit, God itself, I cannot want, because everything is provided. Instead, I can rest and feel the peace at the center of abundance, because abundance truly brings about that sense of peace, of well-being, symbolized by this place that we just journeyed through, where the sheep like no other place can be. They are in a place of rest. They're in a green pasture, So, New Thought writer Eric Butterworth, who we love, yes, wrote a beautiful piece on this psalm, and I'd like to read it. It's a little long, but it's so good, so I have to read it. The Lord is my shepherd, the psalm begins. For you are harassed, you the harassed, the discouraged, the fearful. This opening sentence of the shepherd's song holds a precious message. The Lord is your source and your supply, Butterworth writes. You are afraid of lack, afraid that you won't have enough to take care of your needs? Well then, follow the shepherd as he leads his sheep into places of plenty, and you too shall not want. The way may have been rough at times, he writes, but the sheep follow their good shepherd because they trusted him. Yes, the Lord of our being, the divine resource within, is a Lord of bounty, not of lack. It is his good pleasure to share that bounty with us. But we must trust him and follow him. His way may lead us away from the familiar paths that have become barren to us. Though ahead may seem even more desolate than that which we leave behind, let us not doubt, for we are told, if ye abide in me and my words abide in you, and then ask whatsoever ye will, and it shall be done unto you. He brings us not only plenty, but a relief from anxiety. This is Butterworth still. So we can be at peace and rest in the blessings that are ours. Yes, he makes me to rest in the green pastures. Our shepherd makes it possible for us to rest in the consciousness of abundance. So I wonder how many of us really, really heed those words, especially in those times where it looks a little challenging, shall we say. How many of us really trust? And that's a rhetorical question, but it's something, how many of us really trust? Well, some of us might say, I trust in God, I fully trust in God. It's myself that I'm concerned about. Right? God is good. God is abundance. And then when it's time for us to get ready to pay our bills or do something, look at the bank account, and are we still trusting that God is our source, our abundance? Because that's where, I never get these things right. The metal hits the rubber hits the road. Yeah. That's where it happens. So interpreting the New Testament verse at Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10, that might say, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. And Ernest Holmes wrote, to be strong in the Lord is to be sure of ourselves, because we are sure of the principle of life which manifests through us. Right? It manifests through us. That's the ultimate truth. There is something within you that knows this. There's something within you that is responding in a high frequency to the words that I am speaking right here, right now, because that something within you is your God self, and it knows the truth when it hears it, when it feels it, when it feels that frequency of truth, that truth within, because we're all one. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. In these lines, we have a universal image, a wonderful image, a universal amongst all religions, the still water or the still pond. When a pond is still and there are no ripples from the wind, what does it do? It reflects the sky. And the sky symbolizes bounteiless potential, limitless possibilities. It's infinite. It's infinite. So too, when the mind is still, there is no ripple of thought or anxiety upon its surface. And then we begin to perfectly reflect our true spiritual selves, our real spiritual nature. It is the still mind that can best know God. It is the still mind that can best know God. It is the mind that connects the principle of life, life itself. It is the still mind that allows us to be restored, made whole once again, that we think was separated. So the wholeness is just being in alignment with this infinite source of good. Elsewhere in the Bible, it says, be still and know that I am God. An ancient yoga master once said, yoga consists of intentionally stopping of the spontaneous mind stuff. Intentionally stopping of the spontaneous mind stuff that's always going on. A modern day spiritual giant, Arthur Chang, he's the minister of the Founder Church of Religious Science in California. He wrote an article on this psalm, and he said, this is what he said about that line I just wrote. If only we can just be still and get our bloated nothingness out of the way of the divine circuits, as Emerson advised, the principle of renewal will be activated in our lives. Resting by the still waters of pure awareness, I take time for meditation, contemplation, and prayer. These are ways to be mindful of my true nature, of my source. This is how my soul is renewed. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. I think the word righteousness sometimes gets a bad rap. You know, we're brought up with this whole connotation of what this word means, a negative connotation. But Webster's dictionary, the very first definition of it, is acting in accordance with divine or moral law. So this is a reference to right action, to right thinking, to right living, and those are all caps. The demonstration that flows spontaneously out of right consciousness when we are in that place of peace, of stillness, when we are aligned and we allow that infinite flow just to move through us. That is righteousness, right thinking. All things are then possible to us when we're in that place, as you saw the vision boards, when we're in that place of right thinking and right knowing. For his name's sake, living from the nature of God's true being, and name signifying nature. And the nature of God is goodness and love. That's the nature of God. That's what we believe in religious science. Right action is the action of goodness and love. Ernest Holmes, his famous quote, "Love points the way and law makes the way possible." It's a great quote. It's all love and it's all law. And remember, I said the subtitle for this month's theme, the whole theme, is a guideline for living. This is all a guideline for living our lives. The next sentence is the guidance for living the life. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff comfort me. So when we are facing challenges, keep walking, keep walking. As I've said before, when you're going through hell, don't stop and build a condo. No, we know that. We don't want to hang out in hell. That's not where we want to live. We want to live in heaven. We are reminded that God is always with us. Always with us. And that we are comforted by that I know I am, comforted by the knowledge that there is a higher power for good that is the essence of who I am. And I know it's the essence of who everyone and everything is. A New Thought minister, well, I said that already. Okay. Many times, here we have Ernest Holmes speaking from, I'm reading him from the Science of Mind textbook. Many times, just the statement, right where the pain seems to operate, the presence of God is, will instantly obliterate the pain. Think to yourself for a moment. Where you are in pain. Emotionally, physically, mentally, financially, financial pain. Just get a brief picture for a moment. You don't want to hang out there. And then repeat after me. Right where the pain seems to operate.
Right where the pain seems to operate.
God is.
God is.
That's it, and that's the truth. That's the truth. Yeah, so it is. This is your security. This is your support. This is your comfort. This is your comfort, knowing this. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Even in the worst challenges, still all things are working together for our good. For those who truly love God. All things are, even when it doesn't appear like it, because I know lots of times it sure doesn't appear like all things are working together for my good, because it feels pretty crummy. But when we love God, we're bringing our divinity into it. We're transforming everything. You don't have to think that life is not working just because something negative is happening. It's the whole journey of life. I've been there. I'm sure most of us have been. If you haven't, see me afterwards. I want to talk to you. Even in the presence of your enemies, in the presence of discordant forces in your life, God has prepared the table of good and plenty, divine order and love for you. It's already prepared. Life is a banquet. So many times we just go to the salad bar when there's so much more. So you just expand that consciousness. The abundance is signified in the statement, you anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. This anointment is a sign of sonship. It's a sacred thing. Your divine sonship or daughtership of you being a chosen one. Because each and every one of us is a chosen one. That is the truth. That is the absolute truth. There is no lack. There is no limitation in God because your cup runs over. It runs over with limitless good. You are dealing with an inexhaustible supply. There's no limit to the infinite energy of divine life. None. You are constantly being replenished, restored, and renewed. Surely thy goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So, and finally, there is a confirmation that the principle of self-renewal comes when you are in right relationship with our divine infinite source. Surely the goodness and mercy shall forever follow me all my days. And Arthur Chang, that minister from California, wrote, there is no question about it. Goodness is life's flowing river of good. I love this. It will be wherever you are, not because it is based upon our having to learn or earn it, but on the nature of the universe itself. That is why it is goodness and mercy and not goodness and justice that is being emphasized. You are not here to be pounded or punished by life. Hear that. You are not here to be pounded or punished by life. Emerson says, this is good. Emerson says, there is no sin but a mistake, and no punishment but a consequence. Isn't that good?
Yeah.
And Ernest Holmes says, we are not punished for our sins, but by them. What is a sin? Erroneous thinking, a choice we made. We're going to always get the consequence of any choice, good or bad. Life or God wants you to win. Hear that. Life wants you to win. Be abundant. Be at peace. Be secure in the midst of anything. And know that it is all working together for your very highest and best good. That is the theme that's running through the song of renewal that we're talking about today. This song has given you a guideline on how to live, on how to do it. It's all laid out, and it's all where? It's right within each and every one of us. We know the answer to every solution. We know it. We know it. When we take care of the inside, the outside takes care of itself. So let us look one more time at each of these verses in this song of renewal. Such an incredible amount has been packed into these 6 short verses. As we look at each one and then turn them into an affirmation. And we are going to take a moment to do that, to savor each line, and let them wash over you and fill you and be within you as your song of renewal. And at this time, I want you to, we're going to do a very short meditation, but